Hi, I'm Jason, and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am in Eldon, Iowa, and I'm standing on the grounds of a house, not just any house, it's the American Gothic house. Thousands of people come here each year, especially from outside the country. But this was the inspiration of a painting, yes, a very iconic painting in America with a couple, well, I'll explain more about that was done by Grant Wood in the 1930s. And I'm going to tell you more about it. I'll let the markers tell a story, so here we go. All right, so that is the American Gothic Center, and you can get your selfie taken with those, with that couple. Unfortunately, it is not open today. It's closed Monday and Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it's like a museum, and you can buy some souvenirs. But I'm going to go ahead and go through this garden. Hopefully I won't get stung by a bee or anything like that, but yeah, there's going to be bugs and stuff around here, and the house is not open to the public today, but there are 4 historical markers here, and there's also a selfie stand. For some reason I don't trust those things, because if it's windy outside then it's going to knock your camera over, and I know that from experience. But before I read off those markers, I'm going to get up a little close to it. I see a plaque on there. Let me see what it says. Okay, so it says Iowa Historic Site, American Gothic House, 1881 to 1882. This property is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. This was donated to the State Historical Society of Iowa by the Carl E. Smith family on 1991. Okay, cool. But yeah, unfortunately I can't go in, but it's cool to treasure the moment that you're here, you know. That you're part of American history as far as the arts. So on this side, both of these talk about the artist Grant Wood, who lived from 1891 to 1942. He one time said, "I want to reach everyday people, not just the art critics of the world." Grant Devilson Wood was born on February 13th, 1891, on a farm near Anamosa, Iowa. From a young age, Wood wanted to be an artist. He made his first drawing in the farm cellar when he was sent there as punishment. He found a piece of cardboard from a cracker box and sketched a hen sitting on a pile of eggs. When Wood was 10 years old, his father died and the family moved to Cedar Rapids. And then he continued to develop his artistic skill and won a Crayola coloring contest in the early 1900s, which inspired him to pursue a career in art. And then he continued to develop his art. I mean, I'm going to skip some parts here, but he developed his artistic skills. He established his own jewelry and copper workshop in 1912. And then he also entered the military in 1918, where he painted camouflage on cannons. In his spare time, he made extra money by drawing sketches of fellow soldiers. And then he traveled to France. And then the markers over here talk about the actual house, which was built in 1881 to 1882 by Charles and Catherine Dimble. It was constructed in what is known as Carpenter Gothic style, this being the inspiration for the title of the painting. The house was listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1974 as the Dimble House, also known as the American Gothic House. Thousands of visitors come each year to see the house that was made famous as the backdrop of Grant Wood's painting American Gothic. The windows are lancet windows, often referred to as Gothic windows. The back window is a mirror image of the front. It is believed that these windows were purchased through the Sears catalog, but no one knows for sure why the Dimble family would choose windows thought to belong in a church. One theory is that among the struggles of life, this is one way the Dimbles were able to add a little beauty of their everyday lives. And then this design grew out of a need for quickly built homes and a desire for fanciful details. And then the curtain. In 1930, the house was owned by Gideon Jones and Mary Hard Jones. After Wood asked permission to sketch the home for Mrs. Jones, who was then age 75, in August of 1930, she called her daughter to come help clean the house inside and out. They washed and stretched the lace curtains from the upstairs windows and then hung them to dry. Wood had decided he had everything he needed to compose his painting, so a return visit was unnecessary. Imagine their surprise when Wood created his own curtain pattern in the window. The curtain hanging in the window today was made to look as close to the curtain Wood imagined for the painting. And then, has the house been moved? Well, to some who have visited in the past, the house appears to have been moved, but this is not the case. In reality, the road in front of the house was removed to build the trails in the American Gothic House Center, making it seem like the house is in a different location. In the 1960s and early 1970s, there were discussions about moving the house to a more convenient location, but no action was taken. But the house will remain in its original location, thanks to the preservation of those societies. Okay, and then the actual painting. It is said to represent a father and his daughter. Their placement and expressions show a father defending his daughter and the daughter's reluctant submission. They had some wealth, as shown by her brooch, his collar stud, and the one-horse barn. In reality, the barn never existed the way Wood painted it, and the church steeple never existed. Grant Wood used his sister, Nan Wood Graham, and his dentist, Dr. Byron McKeeby, for his models. He promised they would not be recognized, but many recognized Dr. McKeeby, which hurt their friendship for years. The two didn't pose together in front of the house and never actually met until the photograph 12 years later. Huh. I'll be darned. The actual painting was painted in 1930. In the fall of 1930, Grant Wood submitted the painting to the Art Institute of Chicago's 43rd Annual Exhibition of American Paintings and Sculpture, and it won the bronze medal. He received $300 in prize money, and the Friends of American Art at the Institute purchased the painting for an additional $300. The combined earnings would be about $8,000 in today's money. The painting then went on a tour across the country and was featured in newspapers. There were mixed reviews from art critics about Grant Wood's new style. Several thought it was too caricature-like, illustrative, and cartoonish. But some considered it to be the emergence of truly American art. Many people in Iowa and the Midwest were offended and insulted by how they were portrayed. Others were proud to have such a famous artist from Iowa, regardless of how the painting made them look. And then this is just more details about like the patterns and the hay fork and all that. So while I'm at it, I'm going to take a look at, again, the house and the curtain. Oh yeah. See, I never would have thought that this would be Gothic, but now that they mention it, it's like, okay, it could very well be. But it's been beautifully kept. And then the other marker about Mr. Wood: he is known and appreciated throughout the world. He will forever be credited as the artist who celebrated the land and people of Iowa. But by the early 1930s, Wood's new painting style prompted the creation of the regionalist art movement. And he especially pushed for America to have its own artistic identity, not one imported from Europe. Good, good. American Gothic is considered to be the most parodied painting in the world, now surpassing the Mona Lisa. Okay. And they encourage others to create their own parody with that selfie stand over there. And here's a picture of Mr. Wood right here. This was him at the Stone City Art Colony in July of 1933. And then in the middle of the circle is the Gothic window. And again, you can also get a selfie with these guys right here. And I don't know what's on this guy's sunglasses. Okay, I guess they're meant to be there. And they need to do something about this lady's hair. But other than that, it looks nice. Alright, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Eldon, Iowa, outside or in front of the American Gothic House. Sign off.